of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Case of fire, there are two ways to exit these chambers. To my left, to your right, through the double doors. Turn left, go down the flight of stairs, and turn left at the base of the stairs and exit through the double doors outside the building. Or the best way, and perhaps the quickest, is to the rear of the chambers, through the double doors, down the steps. In either case, once you're outside of the building, please walk a safe distance away from the building. Secretary, please take the roll.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Charles Durin.
Here.
Nick Lafakis. Absent. Mary Scott is absent. Virginia Higley.
Here.
Ken Nelson. Linda DeGray.
Here.
John Petronella is absent. Guillermo Salazar is absent. And Richard Suzak is here.
Approval of minutes of July 25th, a regular meeting.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approval of the minutes. Any errors, omissions, or additions?
I did not see any.
Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's 6-0-0. At this place in the meeting,
Excuse
we
me, Mr.
welcome-
Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Lori over here. Were you going to seat Commissioner DeGray?
Who?
Me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I,
It's okay, Charlie. It is. It's okay.
I just take her as a actual
Part of the
member. Part of the furniture, yeah, right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Kind of like a wife.
Excuse me.
Is it the Commissioner DeGray will be sitting in for the absent commissioners. Okay. No, that did that one. Okay, and at this point in the meeting, we welcome concerns or anything that is bothering you, or concerns or opinions concerning the P&Z. But you may not may not discuss anything that's on the agenda for this evening, or anything that's waiting for the opinion of the commission. In other words, they hadn't voted on. Or anyone would like to address the commission under those conditions? Anyone would like to address the commission under those conditions? Hearing none, we will move on to new business. Secretary, please read the legal notice and take the roll. And again, I am seating Linda DeGray for this hearing.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a special meeting and public hearing on Thursday, August 8th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. XSP 1906, 117 Post Office Road, site plan review application to expand parking associated with the Harriet Beecher Stowe School in order to accommodate the Head Start program. Town of Enfield owner applicant, map 54, lot 6, R33 zone, dated this 27th day of July 2019. Charles Durin.
Here.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
And Richard Suzak is here.
Are the applicants present? Please come forward and tell us about the project.
We're going to set up on a change to set my desk so you can see it a little better.
I guess I'll start. Walter Cruzel, 21 Charnley Road, and Board of Ed representative, Board of Education chairman.
And my name is Donald Nunes, the Director of Public Works. So tonight we're gonna talk about some of the improvements. I want to start we'll start with the back of the building first. So just to help you orientate yourself, there's an existing basketball court over here. There's some existing playgrounds that surround the back of the building. Currently, right now, if you come from Post Office Road and you travel in this direction, you go around the back, which is this is paved parking lot through here and paved all through here, and again paved all down through the back. Anywhere where it's not this gray color. This darker gray is existing millings, which are just the road grindings that we get from when we do our road projects. So it's just blacktop that's ground up, and these are existing. So what we were proposing was to extend the parking lot a little more in the back, remove the grass and the topsoil, and replace it with the millings that are, so it would match everything that would be in the back. I placed these parking stalls on here just so we get a feel for how many there are out there in the back. So right now, I was charged with getting the most amount of parking that we could to help accommodate the new programming that's in the school. So knowing that this is not a paved surface, this is just millings, I made sure that the parking stalls were 10 feet wide instead of the typical 9. We're going to try to do some things to help people line themselves up once we get going, so they can maximize the available parking in the back. So again, this area here that I'm kind of drawing around right now, this is the added section that we would add, that was stripped and it was added. And again, this was existing. So all we're doing up here in the existing part is just basically tuning it up, again, re-rolling it, making it look nice, and filling in some of the ruts that were already out there, and again, making this parking lot that size. In speaking with the fire departments, we've had a few meetings with that. We're widening out this curve here to a 74-foot radius and a minimum of a 50-foot radius through here, so the fire trucks can turn this corner and get into the back. Also in consultation with them and also with the Board of Education and Gary Harrison, who's our safety officer, we're having the no parking fire lanes all throughout the back. We're going to paint those on the ground outside of the overhang of the building. And also we're going to be painting basically a crosswalk, if you will, just painting it there all along the edge of the building, just basically from the overhang 5 feet over, so the kids, when they're walking to get to the play area, to the basketball court here or these playgrounds here, they'll have a designated area to walk in. Again, this is all pavement right now, and everything that you see here that I'm kind of drawing around with the mouse is all pavement right now. Existing millings and, again, new millings. We will pave this corner right here. For the larger radius, we don't want to put millings there. We're going to pave it, and that's what we're doing in the back of the building. So again, in the front, again, we're charged with maximizing the most amount of spaces, again, due to the new programming. So we have 29 new spaces in the front here with 2 accessibles. This is an existing roadway, as we all know, that goes along. We're not touching that. We're just going to be, again, this was just stripped, and we're going to put parking here. Whatever is not pavement is going to be grass and or shrubs and or trees that we have here for the Calla repairs. We do have an 18-foot lane. We do have 60-degree parking. These parking stalls are 9 feet wide and conform to current regulations. These parking stalls here that you see in the front will not be for the general public or for parents and grandparents and drop-offs. These are programmed for staff only right now. There may be in consultation again with Gary Harrison, there may be 2 spots up here for 15-minute parking or so, but that's about it. But all these are staff. All these would be staff parking right now. Drainage, we do have 2 existing catch basins, one to the west, one to the east of the property. The grading will just drain right into these, to both of these existing basins right now, and we'll be providing a new walkway around the flagpole, and the sign will be placed where they want it. We've had some discussion on where that thing can move, so we want to just place it where they would want it to go. So in a very quick nutshell, that is the project.
So this would be.
Excuse me, Donald?
Yes.
Could you please discuss the vegetation that you're proposing?
Yep. So again, Post Office Road is right through here, and we're proposing to put calorie pears. There's 5 through here on the front on the grass strip that goes from the edge of the road 10 feet over. There's a 10-foot snow shelf. We'll plant, looking to plant calorie pears there, and there's some hydrangeas that we're going to plant in between the main parking and this area through here. So these circles here are hydrangeas, and these larger ones on the street, the 5, will be calorie pears. So any questions?
I don't know. Well,
Yep.
I just have a question, because I'm looking, and I was over there, there was a sidewalk in front here, and it's removed. There wasn't?
Where are you referring to?
Right in front of the school.
No.
There's
There
a
is-
sidewalk, because students used to walk to school,
But
and I'm kind of
look at-
concerned.
If you look on Google Maps, which I just did over the weekend, the sidewalk comes in and loops to the school. There was never a sidewalk in the front.
Okay, all right, just
Yes.
questioning that,
Yeah.
because these cars would be backing out in, over those sidewalks. And I'm just saying, I didn't realize it was
If
it
you
was
follow
not there,
if
sir.
you follow the mouse arrow right here,
Yes. So
that's the sidewalk right there.
I was concerned about, that was my big
Yep.
concern, because if people were walking in
No,
front
I'm
of their...
completely understood. They won't be back in anywhere near there.
so-
Yep.
Then, again, because you're on TV and people are seeing this as a project, I'm seeing that we're increasing the parking to 174 spaces total,
Mm-hmm.
because we have like 100 and something already there.
25.
No, more than that.
145.
145 already. Could you give us the ratio of students per instructors for this? Because it seems like,
Well, the number
Well,
of
the parking was always tight there.
yeah, no, I'm just asking for like a ratio.
now
How many
adding the
students are going to
adding
be
the,
there?
I don't know the ratio, but we're adding the Head Start program, which is about 85 to 100 kids
Okay.
that we're bringing over there, and all the staff that goes along with that.
How,
and then
what's
we
the
have-
staff?
I don't have that number. I'm sorry.
I'm just so that people
And then
out
and then there is
know,
parent
understand.
volunteers that come and they park and I don't have the exact numbers.
I'm just
sorry.
asking
don't
that
have numbers?
question because people who don't
Yeah.
follow this all the time are seeing
Yeah.
like all of a sudden we're having all these parking spaces, and they need to know why. And
Well, like
I
I said, parking, the existing building parking was always an issue. They were parking over on the grass. They were parking in different places. So we're trying to correct the problem with bringing the Head Start people over at the same time.
okay, I'm just trying to figure this out
Yep.
because I don't follow the school.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm beyond school age kids, so.
No problem.
Because again, just expand upon that. How many classrooms are you going to have there in terms of, obviously once we define how many classrooms we have, we can sort of define what kind of staff that's going to take, and then we can sort of define administrative staff too. So,
The building is not changing. The classrooms that
okay.
are there
So
are there.
is there 20 classrooms there right now?
Honestly, I don't know.
That's the number that I heard. I heard 20, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure
that sounds about right.
that's
Yeah.
that accurate.
But
So I'm
but we have many programs there. We have the birth to 2 program there, where there's literally infants in 2 or 3 classrooms. Then we have the 2 to 3 program. We have ECDC there. Kite has their offices there.
I guess we're not questioning that you can have a lot of classrooms. I guess, the question is that, are they all there at the same time, or is it a staggered type of use where, you're going to get a certain use in the morning and then another use in the afternoon?
I'm
and then
not familiar too much, but I know that ECDC is going to use it in the morning and in the afternoons. Head Start's going to be there most of the day. And all the existing programs that are there are just going to use the space that they've used.
All right. I guess, once we establish, even if we said that if you had 20 classrooms there right now, and possibly you would sort of subdivide some of those classrooms because they're oversized for the use they're going to have, you might increase it by another 50%. So, let's say you had 30 classrooms. And at 30 classrooms, obviously the students are not going to be driving there. So, we can sort of eliminate the fact that, the occupants there are going to be that are going to be utilizing the parking spaces are going to be just associated with the staff and the support that comes along. So, I guess, just methodically, if we sort of look at this thing and try to put a number on it, we might get to a point where, we get an idea of what is required rather than say, I don't know what we need. We're just adding stuff because we had a problem before. And I could see that possibly you might have had a problem before because of the fact that it was a CREC school, not necessarily, again, the younger,
It had nothing to do with it being a CREC school.
Well,
It's
well-
just the existing programs that are there. I know that parking has always been an issue there with the existing programs, because you've got to remember, parents come, they have to park, pick up their kids, then the next parent comes, has to park, pick up their kids, and they'll volunteer time.
But the transient thing, I think that we can handle in terms of, you don't necessarily have to devote, a parking spot, for a 24-hour period for somebody to drop somebody off and pick somebody up. Obviously that's a transient type of thing that only occurs during a certain period of time. And I guess what we're just trying to do is establish, what kind of parking we have and what direction are we going with this parking as to, why we're requiring all these additional parking spaces in the front. And that's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to, cause trouble or anything. We're just trying to establish somehow that, it makes sense for us to add all these extra parking spots is I think, our main concern.
I think,
So to answer some of your questions, we meet every Monday with a core group of Board of Ed manager and myself and Buildings and Grounds to try to we've been doing this for a while to try to make this work. So I know that in the gym we're going to have have portable classrooms. There's going to be 4 classrooms that are going to be, there's portable dividers, there's portable bookshelves, there's bookcases. I'm sorry, that was a bad word. Bookcases, and everything is portable. So we can, when it's time, when those classes are done, the classrooms get broken down by our custodial staff. They'll be pushed to one side or one corner, be able to use the gym for that programming when the gym needs to be used. When it's not being used again, our custodians will pull those classrooms back for the second round.
that's all well and interesting. What we're trying to do is get a
Well, I understand.
figure on how many people are using the building. And so far, to me, it's been evasive. And the only way we can figure, I was out there too, that it's almost a building in a sea of asphalt
Right. I can't answer the board,
in a
for Board of Ed,
residential area.
but
And we're trying to do some way of finding out how many are going to be using the building. And are the spaces that you're requesting necessary?
Well, I know the town also has programs in the building. There's like 10 or 12 programs in that building.
But they aren't all there at the same time.
Oh, some of them are, some of them aren't, and
Well,
they
that's what we're trying to
some maybe
find out.
start, and then others start, and others leave, and
Well, if we can't have the figures, maybe the only thing we could do is have another meeting and you can gather the figures.
I don't think we'd be here asking for parking if it wasn't necessary.
Miss-
By what the staff has come up with these numbers, and this is what.
The staff, Kenny,
Ken,
yeah, it's all right.
My first issue is we have people watch us every week who we reject, and when they work without a permit, they get called out on it, and I don't know who was responsible for starting this and tearing up the whole front of that school, which looks atrocious now,
does.
without permission. I also drove to the school at night. Half the parking lot on the right side of the school is blocked off by cones, because you must use it as a drop-off area or something like that. So there's all that parking that's not being utilized. I don't understand why, at the end of the cul-de-sac of that parking lot, you can't continue around the back of the building, connect it to the road that's between the 2 rear parking lots, and have the people just circle right around the back of the building. The kids are not on the playground when they're being dropped off in the morning or picked up at night. And you could put parking lot behind the playgrounds, because there's a ton of grass space there, and you can restore the front of the school so it looks attractive to all the people that live around it and drive around it, because it looks horrible, and Charlie's right. It's all blacktop. And I'm going to be honest, if you had come to us to begin with, you wouldn't have wasted the money on doing this, because we would have come up with an agreement that we can all live with. I'm not questioning your parking, even though you're doubling it and the size of the school's staying the
it's not
same.
doubling.
It is doubling it. You're going from 73 spots to 170. You're doubling it.
Okay.
Now, you're doing gravel in the rear, which I appreciate that. It's a lot less expensive. We could do another gravel lot behind the playgrounds, and you could get your flow of your building
all wet
to
there,
go
too.
from the cul-de-sac right around, connect through that, and come right out the other side, instead of having the gridlock on the side that you have every single morning. That also gives you all that parking that you have blocked off right now. And it restores the front of the school so the neighbors and everybody who drives by doesn't have to look at it every single day. To me, what you do in the building, it's your business. And I'm all for trying to merge programs, get as many people in these schools, and, minimize the cost to the town. Absolutely. But I also have to look at the residents who live around it. And I just don't understand. You have zero flow here. And if you connect the cul-de-sac right through there, shorten the fences for the playgrounds, or move them back a little bit, you could go right around the back of the school, right out the other side.
There are some,
This is the gym, right?
Yep, right there. It's wide enough to
Rather
come in,
than-
make it directional.
And this is wetlands.
the farther, excuse me, the farther you get this way, you get more wetlands. We have
I
wetlands.
understand that, but this whole side parking lot's abutting wetlands too. And we're not paving the parking lot, you're using gravel. And I've heard rumors, I don't know how true they are, that this is only temporary anyways. There may be a solution, a permanent solution that people are trying to work on to create more space for the school to benefit you guys, but
I don't
mean,
know.
I don't know where you got this.
Well, I said it was a rumor. I don't know how true it is, but the bottom line is it puts the parking behind the school. Wetlands approved the side lot. You're already doing a rear lot. You're expanding that.
Sure.
So I don't know how expanding that a little more is that detrimental and restoring the front greenway.
Wave your mouse here. So this is the cul-de-sac.
Yep.
This is the gym.
Yep.
Excuse me, Walter, they can't see your point.
No, he's
Oh,
doing
you're
the
pointing,
mouse.
okay.
I'm pointing this and he's moving the mouse.
I'm moving the mouse for him, so.
He's the mouse man, I'm the pen man.
So right where you are, Walter, at the cul-de-sac, go right around the back of the school, keep it tight to the building, and go right through there.
And what do I
and
do with these playgrounds?
You're going to just shorten the fence 10 feet or move it back.
There's literally a playground right here. That's a playground right there.
This is a
Yeah, there
playground, this is
There's
a
little-
playground, this
You
is a
got
playground.
playgrounds.
And the playground
all
is
over.
connected so those kids can go right out from the classroom to the playground.
Okay, what about the playground on the other side of the school? They got to cross over, and the traffic's not there when the
Oh,
kids are out.
This is a basketball court more of it. That's more.
No,
This
over
one
there
here.
is a
That's
full
the kids that were
playground,
playing
huge
where they got
playground.
scattered all
Everything
over.
that's in those playgrounds right there is just little stuff that's on the mats or whatever. It's not even a real playground.
No.
So if you just shift the fence back 10 feet, and then you got a flow right around the back of the building, I would think that would be the plan you would have presented to begin with. I mean, the goal is to get these parents in and out dropping off their kids. And what you have going on in that side parking lot, everybody knows it backs up on the post office road. There's a problem there in the morning.
Are you referring to this one, Commissioner?
No, I'm referring to the cul-de-sac side that they have all coned off because they use it as a drop-off and a
Oh, over
pickup.
here, over,
Yep.
okay.
Half of that.
Because there's different programs entering the building at different places. The Birth to Two enters the other end.
Over here, yeah.
Well, maybe you got too much going on.
But it still doesn't matter. You still can circle the building the same way,
I
whether
don't
you
know
drop
about,
your.
I think there's wetlands right at the end of that cul-de-sac. I don't think we can.
There, it's all grass. It's all cut. It's been filled in. It looks beautiful back there now.
Grass and wetlands can be the same thing.
What's that?
Grass can be growing in wetlands too.
Once
so-
it's filled, it's filled,
Yeah.
and you're only doing grindings. So I happen to know for sure that in wetlands, when we build in wetlands, they require us to have a pervious pavement, pavers, whatever, stone or grindings, so the water can flow through. It works. It's behind the building, none of the neighbors have to look at it, and you guys get a much better flow out of it.
It's a suggestion.
That's all I have to say for now, until I hear what the people have to say, if they're here for this.
I just have one quick question. Donald, you said there was a snow shelf.
Yes.
It's already existing?
So from the edge of the road here, from the edge of this road, right, you can see where the mouse is. So right here is a 10-foot snow shelf. That's where the gallery pairs are going to go, right here in this strip right through here.
Okay, so that won't impact the teachers parking in there?
No, it will not, because the drive aisle, so if you pull in through here, the drive aisle, you would come in here, pull up, back out, and go this way, and head out that way.
Where is the
Will-
snow shelf again? I'm sorry.
It's on the
Right where
side.
see where the dark circles are? Let me blow it up a little more. Hold on a second. That a little better?
Yeah.
So this, so I'm on, can you see where I am now?
Yep.
All right, so this area right here that's going down, and
tree belt.
That's the tree belt snow
Yep.
shelf. Yeah, that's 10 feet wide, and that's where the,
Okay.
and that's where the trees would be going.
I know that the parking area in the front is designated for teachers. Are you going to sign it in some way so that
It will
parents
be, it
don't?
will be signed accordingly. This is staff only, except we can't
Yeah,
do
no,
that
no,
for
I
the,
just-
for
I
the
just was
accessible stalls, but
curious.
yes, that's what it would be staff-only parking stalls.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, technology at work here. We have 14 pre-K classrooms, 4 integrated AM/PM, so eight classes of tiny, which, like I said, the 0 to 2 kids. 6 Head Start classrooms, 4 full day and 2 part day. 4 STEAM classrooms. And then on the town side, they have 3 infant and toddler classrooms, 3 pre-K classrooms, 2 shared K-1 classrooms, and then there'll be the 4 classrooms in the gym.
That's all happening at the same time, Roger?
Yep.
No?
It's not all happening at the same time.
Charlotte's gonna,
Hold on here. Here.
Okay.
Charlotte Riley, Vice Chairman.
Yep. Okay, so ECDC is the before and after school program. So that will be an influx of children in the morning, before school, and after school. And they will use they usually use the entrance on the left side of the building, if you're looking at it.
Charlotte, hold on. You can, if you just.
But do they,
Third chair up.
do they stay in the building?
They do not stay in the building all day. No, that's
No, I
the before
mean,
and after school
like
program.
the before-school kids, all of those would be attending that building? Or do they leave for other schools or other places?
They go to their respective schools during the day. Like a
Okay,
school
so
bus
they
will come
aren't
and pick them up and
necessarily
take
there.
them to, right.
Okay.
Yep. And then the integrated pre-K classrooms, there's an AM session, and then there's a PM session. So there'll be an influx of kids in the morning until like 11:30, I think, and then like 12 until 2. And then the Stowe Pre-K STEAM Academy is all day. And then the Head Start is 4 full day and 2 half-day classes. So there's an influx all during the
Awesome.
day of kids coming in and out. And a lot of those kids will be bused at this
Yep.
point. But we
Some-
need
some of them will
but
be
the
bused.
parking will be for the staff of all of those programs together, because they'll have to be there.
But, yeah, but the staff won't be staying though either. The before-school staff won't be staying once the kids go.
They may stay to work in other programs in the building. I don't know how many of them do that, but some of them, I believe, do stay during the day and work in the other programs.
And then Kite also has their offices there, so that their staff is there all day long.
Yes.
I just have one question, because I kind of did a quick math on the number of places used. There's 44 classrooms in that building?
I thought there was like 25.
There's
45.
25.
So these are gonna be-
Okay.
Something like that.
I
I'm not
understand.
positive
All right,
on that number, but
No,
something
I'm
general.
just asking because I was, you were telling me all the different classrooms that were going to be needed for the different things.
Right.
And I'm like, there's 44 classrooms in that building? That's
Because like
all right.
ECDC is before and after school.
Right,
So
and
they
I
take
understand,
a couple
there's
rooms.
there's
and they'll be in
sharing
the gym.
rooms.
Right,
There's
so,
sharing rooms
yeah,
is what you're
we'll be
doing.
sharing, yep.
But I just want to know how many rooms were in that building. So 25 classrooms.
I'm not 100%, but it's approximately that.
All right.
Lori may have
Yes.
that answer.
Mr. Chair, may I just ask a few questions? Can you tell me how many teachers and/or volunteers you believe will be in the school during the day?
I would say.
Approximately.
we probably have. All right, so. 4 integrated. So there's each integrated, so that's 8 teachers in the integrated, 14 teachers for pre-K, 6 Head Start teachers with probably a couple extras, 4 STEAM. Okay, so
80, 90, 20. So
Toddlers
that's
have-
26.
The toddlers have a person each, I think.
maybe, I don't know, with volunteers that come in and stuff, maybe 40.
Okay, that's kind of what I was guesstimating. Okay, so our regulations call for, I just want to make sure I'm reading it right. Where to go? One space per faculty member or employee, and then 1 per 4 seats in an auditorium, which typically carries, an auditorium would carry usually the majority of the school.
They don't have an auditorium.
They don't have one. So we could say that there's probably going to be approximately 100 plus or minus children in the school at any given time.
At any given time, yeah.
Okay, so that would mean that we'd need 25
more.
stalls
Oh, wait,
for,
maybe 100, yeah.
for carrying on for the
I
children.
think more, because
More
there's
than that, yeah.
100 in Head Start alone, so.
Right. So it would probably be,
Okay, so let's say we double that.
We have
right, let's say
200.
Let's say we double that, so that means we need 50 stalls for the children, based on our regulations, and then we need an additional, you said, that's 10, 20, 28, so we'll say 30 stalls for the teachers and volunteers, or you think?
I think 40 is
think
probably.
Okay,
40.
so 40.
'Cause Kite has
So
pretty good
this has been the problem all along, is they're trying to figure out exactly how many students versus teachers there are, but there's so many variables. But they also know that all these parents come and go all the time. So that's why they're trying to get as many spaces as possible. Theoretically, they need 90. They need 100 spaces to service the school without parents. But then there's the drop-off and the pickups, and some take the bus and some don't take the bus, and they don't know who
Volunteers.
takes the bus until the system starts. So all they're trying to do is accommodate for as many spaces as possible. Now, Ken, on the right-hand side, that is wetlands. Whether it's been filled in or not, it is wetlands, and that would take, we'd have to do a little bit more creative.
Well, the cul-de-sac's borderlining it already.
I guarantee that cul-de-sac was already filled it in. I'm not saying
Right, so they
what's
got a
happened in the past, I'm
variance
just
for it.
saying what needs to happen in the future that would require an inland wetlands permit. We are looking at some alternative designs.
And I do agree
And we
with-
did,
Can
I'm sorry?
I just wanted to add one thing. I do agree with Ken that it would be great if they could loop around the school, but having my daughter been there last year, and I did the loop and picking her up, and her playing in the back, you can't really loop around fully in the right behind the building, because you'd have to go around the gym, and then you'd have to turn sharply up to avoid their big playground area that they have back there. It would kind of be not impossible, but it'd be very difficult turn for.
Have to move the fences.
Yeah.
Right, I'm saying you stay right in line with the back of the gym, and you go straight across, so you're gonna go between the 2 parking lots, and then circle around the other side.
I'm not
You're not
sure.
gonna go tight up to the building.
Oh, go behind that playground? No.
Here's the, right, so yeah, behind this playground.
Sorry, another alternative we looked at was on the left side of the plan, exactly where that big parking lot is, to do one immediately adjacent to it. Well, that is like, it's like a sponge over there, so you just really can't put parking there. It's really, really wet. Because that was the first thing I said. And apparently, it's like, if you walk out there with shoes on, you're gonna leave with wet shoes.
Because what I hear happening is that, there's a certain amount that...
Hold it, Ginny's been waiting.
I'm confused about one thing. Charlotte, you said that some of the kids come on buses,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And we're going on the premise that every child is being dropped off by a parent. Well, that's what I was thinking, the way everybody was talking. So, is there a ratio? More kids come on the bus or more kids come with the parents?
More kids come with the parents for sure.
Thank you.
But the parents
Especially
don't
with,
stay.
especially
You know,
with
and
drop-off.
obviously the infant children are not riding the bus.
Right.
Lori, I
right,
understand
right. So
that.
I mean,
but we're talking about so many other groups. It's not just
Right.
all babies.
And unfortunately, I don't think that anybody really signs up for the buses until like the last minute. So they have this
Well, if you didn't have
kind
the
of void
parking,
of
more
information
parents would
until
sign
the
up for
last
the
minute.
bus.
Yeah. so.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, yeah.
Again, just listening to our discussions in terms of, I understand that you have, a certain amount of parking and that you want to expand parking. And I think that, there's a big concern about dropping off kids and the safety of the kids when the things are dropped off. And again, I would agree with Mr. Nelson is that, it appears that the actual traffic flow, it's a bottleneck upon itself in terms of every time you go into a parking lot, you have to somehow turn around to get back out. So basically, you're always interfering with somebody or if there's parking there already. And if you had a consistent travel route where you can travel in one direction only and then, somehow come out, it's like the turnaround that you have in front of, or the fire lane that you have in front of the building in terms of that's where the buses used to drop people off because they just come in, they drop people off, they keep going. They didn't have to turn around or anything. So that, it is quite possible that you could alleviate your problem with the student drop off by as many parents as they want, as long as you can keep the traffic flowing where people don't have to somehow make a K-turn and turn around because that all of a sudden is, definitely slows everything down. So, I'm not sure if that was investigated, whether, something along those lines, and it doesn't necessarily need to, loop around the building, but somehow create a traffic pattern where you're not restricting or you're not preventing people from keeping going. It's like any drive-in that you see, at McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts or anything else. Nobody ever says, okay, you come in here and then you got to turn around and go back the same way you just came. Everybody always creates that traffic pattern that keeps going. So, it might be possible that, if you create that kind of traffic pattern and possibly, maybe that traffic pattern is the front of the building where you're putting all that staff parking, where if you can eliminate some of that traffic congestion that occurs during those peak hours of pickup and drop off, that you could possibly utilize the other spaces for parking and not necessarily have dedicated parking in the area that is most conducive to the drop off and the pickup where the traffic pattern is uninterrupted.
Here you go.
The west side. To get to this back here is.
So I wholeheartedly agree with, again with the McDonald's thing. If this was a brand new site, we wouldn't have circulation issues. Right now, we're working with an existing site that has changed its usage. It has changed its shape. We have certain structures that are there. Again, we have playgrounds, we have all these other things around it. No, it is not perfect. And again, in a perfect world, this would be a wide open site. We would have all the things that we do like at Enfield High School. It's easier that way. Here, we're trying to retrofit new programs and new ideas and new things for cost savings and other things like that throughout the town. So again, to maximize what we have here, for the site plan, I'm really limited on where to go at this point. Like Lori said, over here on the left, it's extremely wet. These are 30 spaces over here, and there really isn't really much more room on this site to be able to keep what they need for programming, such as the playgrounds and the open, the basketball court and the like, because we were even talking at the time, even converting the basketball court, striping it for parking stalls. But one of the programs, which again, I don't remember which one that I'm not familiar with, needed that basketball court for their program, for their children to still be certified, or something like ACD, okay. So all these components I'm trying to design around and trying to work around and trying to maximize what we have. And this, to me, was really the best option, knowing, again, this is an existing site with severe limitations all around it. And again, being charged with trying to find the maximum amount of parking, this is an idea that came up, and this is the only thing that I could see to accomplish that, considering, again, that I can't use these spots on the left, I can't use that in the back. There was discussion of the roadway, or the walkway, if you will, that goes to Post Road, to have that as an inbound thing, but that's all through wetland. And again, so this is super wet through here. So again, I was trying to maximize with what I have and trying to get the best solution, and also with the time crunch, knowing that August 28th is right around the corner as well.
Who is to use the parking lot in the rear, the back of the building? Who's assigned to that? Is somebody assigned to that directly?
They wouldn't be assigned, it would be whatever teachers couldn't fit up in the front parking, and then parents coming and dropping off
Well,
kids.
because when I was out there, a lot of traffic, well, you have parking in this western end of the building, and there were people going in and out of that door. I mean, that was a busy parking lot without too many
Right,
cars.
so-
You have the two traffic calming barriers that are there that to slow the traffic down, but it's still a busy area. It would seem if you at least had maybe the back parking lot assigned, you wouldn't have the traffic going through there.
That could easily be done. But I know that in this westerly parking lot, those parents or guardians or grandparents, whatever, when they drop off their kids, they park. They physically walk into the building, walk the child into the classroom. The child gets released to the teacher. Then they walk back out and go back into the car.
They come out that end door?
They come out
Because
the
that's what's going
westerly
on.
side. Yeah. So that's but again, I can't can control the programming there. I completely understand that. Like this is staff parking on the south side. I'm sure with Board of Ed input, we can assign different things back there.
I was just wondering, because it would seem that would be a dangerous spot, even with the
Right,
two calming barriers there.
The more cars that stay back here and don't really move during the day would probably be appropriate. But again, we meet every Monday, and I can definitely convey that back on next Monday. So
I don't know. And are you going to paint the stalls in the back? Because they were the parking out there is helter-skelter. I mean, the cars were
right,
not-
like I said, I'm trying to come up with a creative way that works for the parking, but also works for our B&G staff, who's going to have to plow this and maintain this as well. I would love to put up like festival ropes, like they have, and have little placards or something, say park here, and have it every 10 feet and park here. But now my staff, who has to go plow this, it's going to be a nightmare for them. So we're trying to come up with something. Once this hardens up, we can spray it. We might just have to spray it a little more often. When the millings tighten up,
back
they
through,
will.
And I couldn't get out. I had to back out because there was no opening that I could get through.
Right. There will be some order to it once it's in final rolled, and we can get some paint. We can get some paint on it. It may not last, and we do have to come up with some sort of creative wise for my staff and for their staff.
Another question I have: is there a cafeteria in the building?
There
The
is
kitchen,
no
huh?
cafeteria in the building. No.
Because I saw when I was out there 2 barrels that were marked grease.
Yeah, they have a kitchen in there because they cook and provide food for the Stowe Pre-K Academy program. I know that. I don't know if they provide it for other programming, but they have like a cat.
It looked
Well,
like there was a
kitchen.
wetlands. Looked like there was a wetlands by the thing right in back of where the barrels are.
That I don't know.
We could check it.
Because those barrels should be protected or stored differently. Lori, what do they have to do with that?
The wetlands?
No, the grease barrels. Aren't there
That's-
special storage for those?
That's really something that should be regulated by the building department. If they've got a
They're
grease,
there,
if
they're
they've
right
got a
out
grease
there
trap,
Sitting in the open and big,
they're supposed to,
big letters,
they
grease.
should have a maintenance plan.
We can check that.
We could, yeah. I am unfamiliar with that situation, but I mean, that's typically a building
Okay, I
department
called in.
situation with, where if there's a grease trap, they have to collect the grease and then they usually just
Yeah,
discard
I
it
know they do, but
appropriately.
we made people store them differently.
Okay.
I think they have to, yes.
How much space is there behind the two playgrounds, the two right rear playgrounds, from the back fence to the wood line? How much grass space does the town mow there every week? Back,
Talking from-
right there,
from
there
here to
back.
here?
Yep. Because it looked like 100, 150 feet maybe. It looked like a lot of space back there that's getting mowed.
Well, it could be getting mowed, but it could be also wetlands, too.
Well, once you mow wetlands, they're no longer wetlands. We'd be in a restricted area,
That,
and they're filled, they're cut. Half of Enfield is on wetlands, Lori. So you're, right, and the town
This I agree
allows-
with.
And the town allows, because they know the predicament. I understand the predicament they're in.
Yeah,
And for
absolutely.
them to go around the back of the building, it eliminates all the flow problems, gives them back the existing parking they have, and they have all that space in the back. Think
they do.
about plowing, this snow belt you refer to. There's houses right across the street from that. When those trucks at 4 o'clock in the morning are trying to get the school open, every time they push that snow up on the snow belt, the headlights are going in their windows. And you're creating a sight line when the people try to pull out on the left side, if you're stacking snow up there.
Well, that's, I mean, this snow shelf here is just, is for Post Office Road. These, so as they
That's not
plow-
what you
as
said
our-
earlier. You said that was the snow belt for that parking lot. That's,
He said it was for, he always said it was for post office. Snow shelf for post office road.
This is for Post Office Road, if we were gonna plow this, my guys are gonna come this way and push it all up in here and use these spaces here and these spaces here to put the snow in.
okay, I misunderstood
Yeah.
then.
That's okay.
As long as we're talking about that front parking area, because I guess, you know, I guess what we're trying to do is determine exactly how much parking you need, and it seems like, you know, nobody really knows, but you just know you need more parking. So I guess what I'm looking at is that the fact that the front of the building right now, the way you show it, is basically going to be all, you know, pavement. And what I'm wondering is if we eliminate those 8 spaces that we have coming in from, you know, the top of that fire lane, and actually just create, see those, and then take your angle parking and just move it back on that radius to try to fill in some parking spaces over there. So realistically, you know, you're losing 8 spaces out of, you know, you have 45, and I guess there's 27 more new, no, 31 new parking spots. So in reality, you have 145, and instead of having 31 new parking spots, maybe you end up with only, you know, 20 new parking spots. But nobody really knows what you really need anyways. So, but all of a sudden, we can also move that snow belt or that tree line back at that radius, so we can create more than just a 10-foot buffer from the street to the parking. So, and realistically, all we're doing is we're eliminating less than 5% of the total number, because if we started at 145 plus 30 is at 175, and all of a sudden we go from 175 to 165, what's the difference? We don't really know what we need anyways, but we also improve that situation where that whole front area is just parking, in terms of we can probably increase that snow belt or tree line from 10 feet to 20 feet or something, and create that 18-foot, you know, aisle in the back of there. And that, to me, would be a compromise where we're not necessarily creating just a land of parking, but we're increasing the parking, and possibly, and again, I would have to agree with I think, you know, somebody's statement that, you know, the staff parking is not going to be moving, and is sort of, once they're there, the staff is there all the time. And realistically, you know, if somebody parks in the back, then they're there forever, for that day. So possibly if there is going to be transient parking that's occurring, and that would create that drop-off area that I was talking about, where, again, you come in, you park, you drop somebody off, you pull out, and you keep going. You don't have to do a K-turn, but it's more or less in a direct line of flow. So, so why don't we just, maybe investigate some creative parking way where we're losing, 5% of what we're proposing, and to me it seems like everything we're talking about, we don't know what we really need, but we just want as much as we want, and I could understand that, but also what we have to do is recognize that we have to maintain a certain amount of greenery integrity in the neighborhood itself, so it blends into the neighborhood versus turn into a shopping center parking lot type of thing, and that's basically what I see happening. So possibly by compromising, and eliminating 8 spots, we could sort of create a more green pasture area in front of the building.
Take this out.
So,
Take those out.
so if just so I said for my own understanding, so if we eliminated these here,
Correct.
these, and pulled this northerly,
Correct.
so. Right, I do have 21 spaces here now. If I
Right.
pulled that northerly, I'm going to lose these 2 on this end.
Correct.
I'm going to lose these 2 on this end, which gets us down to 17, and I also need 3 spaces for accessible spots. So I'm going to lose another 3 more spaces. So I'll be down to 14 plus 2 accessibles, because I need to have a van accessible spot in the front.
Yeah, but I guess I don't understand, if you had an exact number of how many people you needed there, but we don't know that, do we? In terms of, I think
Well,
that it's all conjecture
What I'm
as to.
just trying to clear up, Commissioner, is that you
Right.
said we're losing 8. We're not. We're going to be losing more like 12 or 14 spots in the front. But that is it. I can change that, and I understand. So this would be more green through here, and we'd have a larger snow shelf on our Post Office Road. I understand that if that's. But again, with my charge again was to maximize every square inch of parking that I could. And that's what we did based upon talking with Superintendent Drezek and all of our meetings.
Yeah, the meetings you had every Monday.
So, and that's, again, that it's a compromise. I can change that. I won't be able to change it right here, but
That would work, too. Ken?
So you had said Head Start has 100 students? Oh, sorry. Thank you, Walter. Head Start has 100 students coming in from the town?
Yes.
So we're adding 1 parking spot for every student?
Well, again, we're improving existing,
I
parking
understand.
was an issue. With
I
the
totally
existing programs,
Yep.
there was not enough parking for the existing programs.
I understand. So I'm going to go one step farther, agreeing with Commissioner Suzak that we eliminate the entire front, you make the back parking lot a little bigger, that's only removing 29 spots. You're still going to end up with 70 new spots for 100 students. That's got to improve your condition. And most of your problem over there is because of the flow of the parking lots. You've got them all over the place. People are bouncing into each other. They're coming, they're going. And until that's corrected, I don't care how many parking spots you have, you're going to have a problem with parents pulling in and out. And it backs up onto Post Office Road, which is a safety issue. So if we add 1 more row of parking in the rear gravel lot, in the back, eliminate the entire front, put the school back the way it was, let's see what happens there. Because that'll give Buildings and Grounds time, if they do, or you review this and say, you know what, there is a flow issue, and you can add your spots back on the right side once you correct that flow issue, and you make it so it flows around the back of the school, because if I'm correct, every single one of those schools was built so you could drive around it. Because when I was a child and I went to HB Stowe, the police used to drive their cruisers around the building every night, all the schools, so they could flow right around the building.
Well-
And that's how it's always been.
Well, we didn't know.
you can't drive around all the
After
schools.
the addition, we did not.
Right, after the addition, but we changed that. But all the grammar schools were built to drive
were,
around them.
But they're not, after the additions in 2004, they were not anymore.
Right, but we had to have gotten a wetlands variance to put that addition on. and the cul-de-sac.
Well, back then there was less setbacks too, so it probably was allowed, and now it isn't.
But you got a hardship too, and you got safety issues and everything. And I mean, I'm seeing them, and you're not even saying about the safety issues. But that parking lot on the right, that's a problem. I mean, that's a safety issue for
the right?
kids and parents and Post Office Road, the traffic.
You're talking
Yep.
about the one on the
right.
the west,
On the east side.
the east side.
This one
Oh,
here.
the little one.
This
Yeah, I'm simple. It's the right side of the school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right here, right
that's
here.
a small one. Yeah,
But
Yeah.
they turn around there and come back out.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right, right. And as they're dropping the kids off, they don't have their lunch, they don't have their backpack, they didn't put their shoes on, they get stuck in line there, and it backs them up out on the Post Office Road. If there's any neighbors here, they're gonna vouch with me. I've seen it. And that's not that is a very big safety issue. And I think if we add one more row in the back, they can walk out of here tonight. They already got 75% of the lot in. Add one more row, it adds them. So how many spots are in that last row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So you're going to add another 19 spots behind it along the pathway, just like you have, because you have enough space from that 6 to the walkway where the cars can continue and get into the next row.
So you're talking about when it says remove grass and
Yep.
topsoil, right where those words are, you want to put
Well,
some
the
more parking
limit of
there.
work and the remove, yes. Yep. Just add one more row back there.
What's back there? Is it
And-
spongy
and-
just like the
you
other
got
side?
plenty there.
Right,
It's all
and that gives you
milk.
time, Walter, to figure out exactly what you need, because 100 spots for 100 students, not counting the existing problems you have, which obviously we know there's existing problems. I think that's going to give you time to get a better handle. And if you do review that, flow plan, I think Buildings and Grounds can come up with a much better idea.
Donald,
But it
what's-
gives you your parking for this school year. You're out of here, the parking lot's in.
Donald, what's back there? Is that spongy just like on the side?
Can you put something back?
Well, they're putting a parking lot there now. How spongy can it be?
Well-
We're only
How-
going 20 more
The
feet.
farther back you go, I was just wondering.
The farther back you go, the more spongier it gets, because that whole walkway's spongy.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I know that where the millings are proposed and where they are existing is where the Crex temporary structures were. So there is some sort of a base there. I don't know what goes out beyond. I know there used to be some sort of soccer fields, I think, in the back. Whether or not they were wet or not, I just don't have that knowledge.
But base, you talk about base, they dug out the rear lot and the front lot. I saw them do it. They dug down 2-3 feet and they brought in process. So the sponginess is gone. Once they fill it with process, it's done. It's done. You're not parking on the grass.
It
3
depends
feet,
on where the
Lori.
drainage is falling, but I think that the
They
drainage
have
is
no
falling
drainage
over
in
there.
the rear
That's
lot. I'm trying to
yeah.
make this
No,
work
I'm
for
not
them
against what you're
right
saying. I'm
now.
just wondering the reality of how the base would work. I'm not
Take
saying
the
that's
base
a bad
from the
idea at
front,
all. Trust
take
me.
all the base they put in the front, move it to the back. They're probably going to have some extra, and they're good to go. They're in school. They got parking. Restore the front of the school and make it look like a school again.
There is, no, not going to go there.
If they were to do that, would you be amenable to having still the handicapped accessible van spots in the front archway?
I personally would be okay with the ones they have right off the arch, closest to the school. That one
Right.
row there.
Yeah.
Yep. And I would even be okay with that.
Would you be amenable to having the spots that are proposed along the bus route remain? So you'd be okay with all of those spots to
Are
remain?
you talking about
The
the five
bus,
or the?
From 5 to 3.
the queuing lane.
From 5 to 3.
And not,
this.
not the other one?
And eliminate
No,
the front
right,
half of
that's,
it and put
this
the
is
trees.
just a conversation, we're not
Yeah.
making
No,
decisions, I'm just
no,
asking.
I understand, I just wanted to
Yeah.
be on the same page.
So wiggle your mouse over.
It's on TV?
Be the mouse wiggler.
Oh, it's all right.
So you put your mouse over this.
Yeah.
So that we can keep that?
You keep that.
What if,
add-
if we're going to remove this, We're removing the whole angled parking, right?
Yeah.
Can we have a couple more on each end of that radius?
Like
Yes,
two
you
on each
could.
side?
So what, I have to tell you that this is not the first iteration of this plan, and we've already lost 15 spots or something.
Yeah, but I'm
So-
giving them
so- no, so-
20
so-
in the back.
Right, so the question is if we eliminate the angled parking, we will then have more room to put more parking along the arcway.
I understand. If you
So,
had
so
one
would that,
spot on
would
each
that be,
end,
would that be?
Two.
So I think we had probably 4 to 6 more spots along that arc when it
The
was
teachers are there.
drawn
Let them
differently.
park out back. They aren't going anywhere.
Give me 2 on each end.
we're eliminating 21 spots and you're getting 19 in the back.
I understand, but give me 2
So
on
you-
each end in the front, too.
We don't even
You
know.
have access
We're
in the
talking
front.
about 2 spots, Walter.
I understand.
You get everything you want.
We're negotiating here. Give me 2 on each
There
end.
is no negotiation if you're getting everything you want. I'm giving you the back parking lot
We don't
right
even know
now.
if we don't know what's back there, if we can put stuff. We gotta check the soil.
You already
and make-
put 2 rows back there, dug it out and filled it in. You already did it.
I understand that. We don't know how much farther back we can go, though.
I'm all done. I'm done.
The
can
trailers
listen
were
to
there
the
before,
people.
so.
Anything else?
Yes, go ahead.
Just as a voice, in terms of, I would find it acceptable to add 2 additional spots on the front on either side if we were going to eliminate that angled parking. Or, yeah, as another alternative, if you can put that angled parking in from the inside rather than the outside, you might have better access from, because at some point you fall out of the radius of turning into something. It starts to getting too steep versus if you're sort of pulling in and pulling out on a radius, you might fit a few more spots. So I think that, whether it's coming in from the top down or the bottom up, I would be agreeable to, as long as we increase that grassy area along that radius that reflects that additional, space that we would capture. So,
Yes.
and then add the additional parking spots in the back. So, in that sense, I think that, we're all compromising something and we're all getting, at least something that we might want to see. And, I sort of have a little
Putting them in an angle.
blue line
Yeah,
picture of what it looked like.
To answer your question, Commissioner, the fire marshal, we've met out there, and again, after several reiterations, I did have angled parking going around this arc, and the fire marshal did not like that idea, so that's why we went back to this design. So I'm going, and he doesn't want, there's something about, again, backing out or with the fire lanes remaining open all the time with that angled parking gets a little weird. He suggested not to do that. That's why I went back to this design. So I'm,
Parking lot to the right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, if you get the 3 or the 5 in the front, the row that was behind those is going to be grass and whatever?
So this, right, you're talking these, right, if that's,
Yes.
if that's the will of, then we will,
It's going to be grass or whatever? You're not
It'll be
going to
grass.
pave it, right?
No, it's going back to the grass.
Do grass and
Okay,
plantings.
okay, I'm just checking.
We'll just do grass and plantings.
Yeah.
May I ask a question? What,
Back up, we're gonna do grass. We're already adding whatever plantings there, that'd be enough planting.
well, in the grass, yeah.
We're not adding any more plantings.
No.
There's more maintenance for building the ground, so.
Well,
okay, may I ask, on the right side, after the cul-de-sac, what occurs?
Address us, would you please? I don't know what's going on here, but we got too much side talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What occurs back there beyond the cul-de-sac? I was out there one time and I saw a group of children, I think maybe even on blankets, just maybe having a picnic. I mean, are there any playgrounds beyond there or
Talking about behind
just beyond the cul-de-sac?
that. There's a playground like right as you come around the corner of that building. And there's grass there, so if they were having an event, maybe they would be sitting out there, but
Okay, but it's nothing.
used really during the day, that area is
Okay.
not.
So I guess the question is Commissioner Nelson's question is, could we do a loop around the outside of the play areas?
I mean,
And would that be
personally, I think it'd
eliminating
a great idea
per-
to do that, but I don't know if you can.
Yeah, we don't
If
know
if
what the
it's
soil is, so.
possible to.
Right.
If it's hard enough to do it.
I get that.
But if it
And it
was,
might
I
be,
think that'd
and it
be a
might be
great
very
idea.
soggy. It might be.
It
And-
could be. I don't know. If I knew if it was or wasn't soggy, I would say if it wasn't soggy, go for it, because it would make a lot of sense for those kids coming, parents driving and dropping their kids off
Mm-hmm.
at Stowe Pre-K Academy, because that's the door that they go in on that side.
But even if you kept your drop-off the same spot on the right side of the school and the same spot on the left side, no drop-offs in the back.
Right,
So they
yeah.
drop off on the right, they continue around and drive back out to post office, or they drop off on the left and get, but everybody's, plus now you can stack how many cars and get them off of Post Office Road.
Right, yes. I've been in that backup on Post Office Road before.
Well, how long it would take to find out what the soil is there?
Well, the soil that's there now is grass, it's not gonna hold.
Well, I
They
know, you
gotta
said that,
Have a
but,
parking lot guy, core test or whatever to see what's there, how much they gotta dig out, like they did for the back lot.
Well,
But I'm trying to get them open so they
That's
can
what I
be in
mean.
school September.
Right.
You know, I'm doing this and moving it there, and then they can figure the rest, the flow issue, which everybody agrees there's a
Right,
problem there.
that-
And this is the time to
Possibly
continue.
Come back next year, I'll come back earlier next year and revisit this next year.
no,
So for,
We're out of time frame here to get.
Understood, Walter,
understand
I
that.
understand.
but you want them to go around now this
No,
year?
no, no, no,
Okay.
no.
All right.
That would be long-term.
I think for an interim solution, I think what Commissioner Nelson was talking about would, again, I would say for us to, I can't speak for the Board of Ed, but it would appear that by doing that, we should be able to get open and get the programming that they want to to here. We should be able to pull that off again with an interim solution. Commissioner Nelson's long-term solution, again, if all this programming, again, which that would be the Board of Ed, is going to stay here, and this is how it's going to be, then we will have to look at, again, another long-term solution, again, that's more appropriate to get us through, again, to solve that. But for now, I think there is an immediacy, there is an issue right
Okay,
now,
so
again,
for
with.
now, exactly what is it we can do?
Before we do that.
I know, well, they've got to understand what it
They
is
wanna
we're
see where
doing.
we're at, right.
What is it? Go ahead.
I think the way I understand it is that we're going to expand another double stacked parking to the rear, to the north of
Yep.
the existing parking. We're going to eliminate the lower level of parking at that front
The
fire
angle-
lane.
the angle part.
And we're going to add some angled, whether it comes in from the top down or top, I think that possibly what the fire marshal was concerned about is that if there was a tendency for people to pull straight through, that would prevent his fire trucks from
Right.
being able to access it. If you had a barrier there that would prevent people from pulling through, then basically he wouldn't care if you came in from the bottom side. And we'll leave that up to your design professionals to do that. We're not
You're looking
design
at 'em.
professionals. But at least conceptually, we would have that kind of, concept where we only have one row of parking along the front circular driveway, and we expand the back parking lot by a double stacked, parking area to increase that parking in the back. I think that's what we're talking about.
And also, are we having the people that are staff parking in the back?
Well, that's their call. I mean,
Well,
I don't
all
want
right,
to dictate
okay,
what they do with their
okay.
parking lot.
No, I know, but
All the parking is pretty much staff and parent parking, so.
And the nice part is if this is amenable to everyone, it gives you more time before you come back about the circulation, it gives you more time to actually see how the parking is working.
okay. You got it designed already?
I'll send you the CAD file
All
tomorrow
right, if you
morning.
will,
so.
please, I'll open it to the public. Is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak in favor or against this application? Please come forward, sir, and if you will, your name and address for the record.
Ryan Carvalho, 116 Post Office Road, directly across the street. Definitely not in favor of the plan as is. Every morning I pull out onto the road to go to work, like most of us do, and I do see the traffic backup. I do have a lot of safety concerns. I mean, you've already got 2 parking lots on either side, people coming in and out from the same direction.
Yeah.
And you've got the U shape there, and now you're going to have another avenue of people pulling in and out of. And it's already difficult for me, and for the residents in the area to get out onto that street. It's also, a big safety issue for people, driving through that. The other reason why I'm concerned too is property value. If I wanted to resell my home someday, how is this parking lot that I'm staring at across the street from my house, how is that going to affect my property value? I know the landscape there at the beginning wasn't really great looking, okay, but at least it was something. When I looked out my window, I didn't stare at a concrete jungle like I'm going to be doing if this plan were to be put in place. And I heard, was it 10 feet was mentioned from the road to for the snowbank or the snow line or whatever? There's no 10 feet there right now. The strip of grass that's out in front of that is probably about 5 feet at best. So I don't know where this 10 feet's coming from, if they're going to be backfilling after the fact, but I mean, I just took a picture of it today before I came to this meeting. It's only 5 feet, that grass strip that they left there. So just putting it out there. I guess I would be in favor if the secondary plan that you were talking about, Mr. Nelson, if we had allowed them to have the spaces that were on the opposite side of the angled parking, I guess it would be okay as long as they're able to restore some of the greenery that's there. I would be willing to compromise. I understand as a taxpayer, my money is invested in this project now, okay? So I definitely want to, have the town save some money, and I'm all in favor for consolidating the school programs into one building. But, today I'm hearing all these numbers flying around that, well, actually lack of numbers, really. I mean, it seems like there's been a lot of lack of planning around this whole project, and it was very rushed to come to this point. And I had no idea that anything was going on until I saw the white sign in front of my house. I just thought maybe they're tearing the trees out and putting new trees in. Came back from vacation, and I saw the white sign. I called, and they told me it was a parking lot going in there. I was a little upset. So, sorry, I'm a little nervous. I don't like to speak in front of camera, so I hope I'm conveying my point. That I'm glad that, Mr. Nelson, I'm glad to hear your concerns are pretty much in line with mine. And I agree that there definitely is a flow issue with this whole property. I see it every day, year-round, especially in winter, too. I mean, you've got the snow banks there, and now you're going to have 3 different areas that cars are going to be coming in and out of all the time. And I'm just hoping that one day, with this plan, that there's not a bad accident there someday. Because, I'm sorry. I know it's a 25-mile-an-hour zone. I know this has nothing to do with this commission, but nobody goes 25 miles an hour through that area at all. Never. Not once. So I definitely think that there's more to it than just this parking that needs to be addressed. The flow issue is definitely something that I would like to see going forward addressed. I guess that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much. Anyone else to address? Please come forward again, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Joe Kalina, 118 Post Office Road, directly across the proposed parking lot. Everything that Ryan has said, I agree with him, with the traffic issues, the house value. If I was to sell the house value, I would go down if the parking lot was there. Yes, there's traffic issues. Also, again, the snow barrier, I agree with them. That's 5 feet grass. And the rest of it is going to, if it was going to be a parking lot, it's going to be paved right up there. So I don't know if that really is a true 10 feet or 5 feet. I mean, looking at it, it's going to be very close, and I don't know how you could put trees or shrubbery there to make it look nice. I don't think that'll happen. So I'm not in favor of this proposal. I don't understand, again, I happened to find out about this on the last minute. We, as the neighbors, weren't notified of this. Looks like, from my perspective, is hurry up, let's get this done, and before people start asking questions. I look back there, what Mr. Nelson's saying. If somebody goes out and do their homework, I believe you could probably put a one-way around there too, also. And there's a lot of grass back there. They dug a good 3-4 feet in front of the school to put that gravel down base. I can't see why they can't do it in the back to make a parking area in the back there. It wouldn't be an eyesore. So I like to see what the proposal will be the next time of what they're going to do with the parking, but they do have a challenge, but somebody should have been doing their homework a little earlier and getting the right people involved to, in concerns of, especially the neighbors' concerns about what they're doing. So that's all I have to say is, I'm not for the proposal right now.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to address the commission? Anyone else would like to address the commission? Last call, address the commission. Gentlemen, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'd like to address the existing 5-foot strip that was here. So this is probably revision 2 or 3 at this time. So when the contractor was given the original plans, it did have 5 foot up. It did have only a 5-foot strip there, so he cut that 5 feet. He left the 5 foot that was there. That's where so when the new ones come in, you'll notice that it's stripped out a little. It's gravel a little further. He's just going to loam that and keep the 10-foot barrier. So that's to answer the residents' concerns for that. After that, I don't have.
But if we go with what Commissioner Nelson came up with, then there will be grass up to. We'll just replace the grass that was taken out.
Right.
Are there currently spots off the cul-de-sac, the horseshoe now?
No.
No. So,
No,
yeah.
that is just for buses right now. There are no spots there.
Right. So I want to be clear, we're leaving those spots on that horseshoe.
These,
So we're not putting all the grass back. I just want to be clear so the neighbors
But
understand.
we're also adding 2 on each end, we thought.
right. So basically, where the mouse is now, everything's basically to the.
How are you going to make that U-turn?
After they're done, Owen.
Yeah, I know. Gentlemen, let's,
So if I may, everything from this line here, which is from here to the road, from this, again, where the angled parking was going to end, south to the roadway, which is right here, would be restored.
right.
That'll be grass.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
With
you'll
some
still
trees
have
and
the
with-
flag
put in a few,
We do have some trees and some plantings and the like.
flag
From the
Yes.
front of those horseshoe spots all the way to the road.
Yes.
Yeah, because that was all going to be lawn anyway.
This was all going to be lawn anyway, so
Oh,
from
ripped
here,
out now, so.
Yeah,
right, it'll be restored.
because it says restored lawn area, so we were going to restore all that. Now we're going to restore the whole front.
okay,
Minus
the
these,
spaces.
right, if that's how the commission
for now.
wants to proceed.
And then we'll let it go through the school year and revisit this maybe in January and
Well, you'll
try-
see how the flow is.
Exactly.
Well, we all,
and come to you
Right.
sooner with it. And
I want to work with you.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And
We wanna
let's
come to
fix
you
this
sooner.
slow, because what you guys are doing is tremendous with this building. You're maximizing, it's
Well,
something
sure is.
Enfield hasn't done for many years.
this is a model building for the state. After we're done with this,
right.
there will be towns coming and copying this and bringing it to their towns.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. And
This
if
whole
you-
program is a model program, and Head Start, when Head Start was developed some 20 years ago, this didn't exist. So now we're trying to put it together, give them all the same education, improve Head Start by bringing them here. And we've had Joe Courtney look at it, we've had the Congressman look at it. This is a model that will be duplicated. We are the first.
But we also want it to look like a school when you're done, so that will do that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, there's absolutely no question that the town and the Board of Ed are very proud of this program, and they should be, because it is a stellar program. And, I think they just got ahead of themselves, and they didn't realize all of these other things that were going to come up.
Well,
And so that's why we're trying to work with
program
them
wasn't
and
the
make it
problem.
right.
The town dropped the ball, and we jumped the gun before we should have, and
Yeah.
I guess I will apologize for the town, even though I'm the board, but I'll,
Came up with a solution everybody can live with for now.
Yeah.
And I would love to see you guys come back and let's work together and make it so it's a model for you, so the people don't pull in.
if you all vote for me in November, I will be back. How's that sound? It's a campaign promise.
Actually, we should be working with them in between. In other words, don't wait till the end of the year.
Right, that's what I
No,
just said.
I just said it.
Right.
If we do come back, we will start in January or even December and.
There you go.
And
Have
get
the
back
town
to you
start
guys.
designing your plans now.
Yep.
Okay.
This was all crunched to, because of the time, but after we get the program going, we can study how it's going and revisit this.
Now, is the commission members all aware now of what's temporarily proposed? Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify that you have two motions this evening, because one is for the
Right,
site plan
I have
and one
them
is for the
both here.
824 referral, which is a couple
Right,
pages
we
in.
have them both
Just
here.
so you know to take two motions.
You got to close the public hearing first. Any reason to keep it open?
You want to
There
see if
isn't.
they want to talk again?
No.
No, the people.
People.
Anyone of the people want to talk again or come forward?
Just a real quick question regarding the, regarding the additional spots that we're talking about on the north side of that proposed frontage there. We're talking about adding additional parking spots on either end where the bus lane is. Is that what we're talking about for that plan?
Yeah, I could see where he's
Adding two
pointing, so
spots.
yes. So basically,
I apologize.
Right.
So yeah, no, I'll use the mouse. How about,
there you go.
How about there and there? So we're talking about adding two more spots on either side right here?
right,
Okay. And this is still going to be used as a bus lane?
yes.
Okay. What about turning out here, backing out? Is that going to cause any issues? Safety
There's
right
a
here?
bus there will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fire marshal is satisfied with, we had a additional parking spaces along that arc, and he was okay with that. He did not like the angled parking on the curve, because actually you can't do angled parking on the curve because the radii starts turning and they get to be very bizarre shapes.
Okay. And then I do have one other question regarding, so eliminating all of the angled parking. Oh, sorry. Yeah, here we go. Use the pen too. There you go. All the angled parking here is going to be gone. They're going to backfill it with loam again, correct?
Right.
So is this going to be a temporary solution or is this a permanent?
And plantings.
No, that's permanent.
That's permanent.
Be
That's
permanent.
going to be all grass.
Okay. What about we took a lot of shrubbery out of here. Is that going to be addressed?
Shrubbery would be, well,
There
we're
are,
going to do replanting.
There are some
trees and
plantings in that
azaleas.
area, but I don't know that they're going to be right where the spots are that are being taken away. That would be something that you could talk to the planner about.
Public Works.
It's all Public Works. He said they were going to put plantings in.
Yeah, I guess I just I would hope that it wouldn't just be all grass. I would, especially where the cars are going to be, would be nice to have something break up that sight line. So,
Well, again, this will be ongoing, as he says, once things are settled down and they can get back to planning, they should be meeting with this commission and working on a final solution
okay.
to
And-
get the building open and operating and the kids taken care of. This is a temporary solution right for now.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak to the commission? Anyone else? Last call. Let me get the right number. Then I'll close public hearing, SP 1906.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution for public hearing XSP 1906, dated 2000, or August 2nd, 2000, I'm sorry. Well, I guess what I'm looking at is the memorandum that we have is actually dated August 2nd, so it would have to be the memorandum that we have. So, the memorandum, or our resolution is dated August 2nd, 2018, as prepared by the Planning Department with the 25 conditions listed and the modifications as we discussed today to allow for circular parking along the entrance, a fire lane in one direction only. And we'll let I guess that the planning department and the staff more or less determine whether, it comes in from the top or the bottom. And we would allow a maximum expansion of 2 additional spots along either side, as indicated there, if it's feasible to utilize those spots. And the addition of a double-stacked parking area in the back on the north side of the areas that's milled right now to accommodate some additional, at least 18 additional spots in the rear there. So that's my motion.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Lori, you got that down correctly? Okay.
I believe so, yes.
Ken?
I just want to clarify, I only support the front parking from the fire lane.
Right.
I don't support, and he said either or. The deal was they restore all the grass to the front of those parking spots.
Right.
Right, you said they could determine
Oh,
upper.
all right. Okay,
that was-
maybe I'll amend my motion to say from the upper level only, so that we have more grass area in the front of the building. I'm sorry about that.
I took it from the circular parking. Yeah.
Okay, clarification's all set?
Are you guys good
Motion's
with
made
it?
and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? None? No abstentions? 600. That takes care of that one. Now, do you have another?
Yes, you
Mr.
have the
Chair,
824 referral, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve, and I'll just read the resolution. Whereas the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission has received an 824 referral for the parking lot modifications to the Stowe School, now therefore be it resolved that the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission hereby forwards a favorable recommendation to the Enfield Town Council for the parking lot modifications at Stowe School.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Any opposed? No abstentions? Unanimous? 600.
Is the HB Stowe sign still out front? Or was that
Yes.
pulled?
No, it's still in the front, and we're trying to determine a location that the staff wanted that'd be better for them.
It's not an HB Stowe sign.
Now you're
it's
back
Stowe
again,
Road
what?
Learning Center. No, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I promise, if November goes like I want it to, that I will be back.
Well, thank you for working with us. That's what we're here for. Is that?
And I apologize for everybody that we dropped the ball on this and we didn't come to you guys to begin with, so.
Don't
Well,
wait
we're
till November,
glad-
Walter. Let's have them
Yeah,
get the ball
right.
rolling, get the plans in
Let's
place.
get the kids, let's get open on the 29th, let's get the kids in, let's see how the programs work, and
Well, with so many, you've got to be able to do that.
yeah. All right?
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. 46
Cottage Green.
Cottage Green and 59 Garden Street. Is that anyone presenting this?
No, I am, I guess.
Okay.
So this is just
You want to sit in your
a,
chair there, you want to get out of
I'll
here?
just stay here. This is 2 parcels that the town has owned through foreclosure, and we have already hired a consulting real estate agent, and we would like to sell these 2 parcels. They have houses on them, and we'd like to get them back on the tax rolls. So they're both in Thompsonville, 46 Cottage Green and 59 Garden Street. So the process is that the town council sends a 824 referral to the planning commission. You make your referral. If it's positive, then they hold a public hearing so the town citizens have an opportunity to speak about it one way or the other. If it's all favorable, then it will just be put onto the real estate docket and hopefully sold.
I make a motion, we approve the town's 8-24 for the 2 properties in question.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, discussion. It's good to see properties going back on the tax rolls.
That would be nice.
I don't know how many be against this one. All in favor? Any opposed? Again, it's unanimous with the group that's here. It's 6-0-0.
Administrative approval.
Administrative approvals, 51 Palumba Drive. Are they
Mr. Chairman.
piecemealing this job? I mean, it's...
Well, this is just a facade change and a sign, so it's not the use whatsoever. But the use is totally
They
permitted.
keep coming in with piece by piece by
Yeah.
piece instead of doing it all at once.
It says there's a peak. Is the sign going to go in the peak, and how big is the peak? Just out of curiosity.
Huh? I know, we had that before.
Lot of peak trouble.
Ooh.
Thank you, Vanna.
Do you want curtain number 1?
But it's not above the
It's
roof
not
line,
above the roof.
Not above the-
It's not above.
Okay, that was my...
not above the eaves.
You're supposed to do like this, you know, if you go...
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lori.
Okay.
I move we allow an administrative approval for this.
Motion's made and second to allow administrative approval.
Concern?
Yes.
I do have a concern, and only because we have had facade changes on other properties, which we asked them to present to us, and we did not do administrative approvals. So I'm not going to vote for this, because if we've done it for other larger corporations to come in and do a facade change, I think that they should also do the same.
I never thought of that. Thank you for bringing that up.
We just did that with Home Goods, we've done it with Aldi's, we've done it over across the street where Stop and Shop, I'm sorry, not Stop and Shop, but the ShopRite Mall Plaza.
Yeah.
So I do
you're
take
right.
exception that we just don't, that's me. If we set a precedent already with the town, I think that we should continue that.
I agree with what you're saying, but this meets everything that we've asked every one of the other ones to do.
Any other
And Lori has
presentations
done
with
her
them?
job to make sure that it meets what this board has required. So
Yeah, the other
we should.
ones didn't when they first came
Yeah,
in.
Absolutely, they
Yeah.
didn't, and we had concerns. She did her job, they meet exactly what we want. I don't know why we would tie them up and not let her administratively approve this, as it's exactly what we want. So we're gonna make them wait till September to come in and show us what she just showed us, and we're gonna approve it, because it meets everything we want.
I understand, but we have done this with everybody else, and I just feel that
Well, it's,
It
So-
sets a bad precedent.
Right.
I think
It's my
that's what we're
understanding
saying.
that the facade changes that you usually approve are in the overlay districts. but this is just in the commercial zone. I mean, you go
Even
through every
so,
facade
Penny's
change.
right. The others came in not exactly the way they want. They weren't. what
And
we
They,
wanted.
they,
Does
they
the
were asking
plot-
for things that were not typical.
And
This
you
is,
brought them to us.
right,
Right.
yeah.
And
Does-
she brought them to us. She's doing a phenomenal. I agree with this.
Does the plaza have enough for their signage? You know how it has enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a motion? Let's go. Okay. All in favor? 4.
4-2?
Opposed? 2.
Okay, so.
Motion
this is-
passes.
I just want to make sure I got this right.
Yeah, you better get the names down.
Jenny
one.
and Donna.
The pets, snake petters.
That's all
You're
right.
not. You're not wrong. I agree. But that's why she did what she did and brought it. Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
Okay.
I see Panera Bread's finally starting.
Yeah, finally. I was happy to see that. I'm wondering. Okay.
Just want to make sure we had it proper.
Item B, 561 Hazard Avenue, O'Reilly's Auto Parts. They want a site plan modification.
Mr. Chairman, they actually sent in an email today, which for some reason I'm not finding in front of me, which I thought I had with me, but they were withdrawing this application.
Whoa, all right.
It'd be nice if they started.
That saves some time.
They're withdrawing the whole thing.
No, just this sector.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
just this is just about the mechanicals.
Okay.
So they're just
Okay.
withdrawing the application for now.
then just 2 items you have of interest, general statutes on the zoning and planning, economic community development, the planning commissions, and municipal improvements, which answers the questions that we were having a discussion, I think, on the last meeting, that any municipal improvements are supposed to come to this commission.
But I would assume that if I read this correctly, if a planning and zoning commission denies a municipal improvement,
824 is always
Right.
can be overridden by the council.
but the council has the right to override it. So
By
my
two-thirds.
question is, do they have to have reasons to override it, or can they just say, no, we like the way it looks and we're going to go for it?
I would assume that they should state their reasons for overriding anything. But it is true that you need to see any municipal improvements. That does not include necessarily maintenance or redoing a sign or we're going to plant some more trees or something like that. Or, it's got to be real major capital improvement. This I don't believe actually really needed an 824, but we did it just to err on the side of, safety. But it certainly, I think, it did need a site plan. So
Thank you for the
we got
The
involved
other
as
thing
soon as we
before we
could.
go is the quarterly newsletters. Are we going to continue to get these now, because they are a little bit informative? Okay. And there's always something, every once in a while, we make it too.
The articles get you thinking about stuff,
Yeah.
and seeing what other places are doing.
Okay, Chairman, to...
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There you go. We stand adjourned.
Is anybody going to vote against it?